All right, 7th graders, let's do some multiplying of integers this time. We are on page 291 in the book. So take a look with me, page 291. Again, our vocabulary is opposite, so let's just put an example of opposite numbers. -3 and +3, those are opposites of each other. So once again, those will come into play. We'll see some stuff here, all right? We're ready for our key concept. So let's talk about the key concept, then I want to share a little story with you guys to help you remember these rules. In multiplying integers, there are 3 situations. You can have them be just like in adding. They can be the same signs, they can be different signs, or you can multiply a number by 0. Let's start with that one. Anytime you multiply a number times 0, the answer is 0, whether it's positive or negative. 4 times 0 is 0. -4 times 0 is 0. It doesn't matter what you multiply times 0, it's always 0. That's an easy rule to remember, at least for multiplying. Well, let's talk about the same signs. The product of 2 integers with the same sign is positive. So for example, let's do 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 positives make a positive. Okay, now this is a little different. It gets a little confusing, especially when you start adding and multiplying again. 2 negatives also make a positive. Remember, in adding, that would come out to be negative. In multiplying, 2 negatives make a positive. So when you have the same signs, the answer is positive. Those are the most important words there. We're multiplying. Now, what if the signs are different? So what if it is 4 times -2? Well, when you have different signs, the answer is negative. Or we could switch those around. -4 times 2 is -8. Okay? Well, I went to a conference one time and they told me this little story about the Old West. Okay? Remember in the Old West, way back when, if you ever watch any of the Westerns, you got what they call the good guys. The good guys are the ones that wear the white hats, you know. They come in, they ride in, and they save the day. Everybody's happy. They get rid of the bad guys. So in my story, good guys are good. That's positive. Bad guys are bad, so that's negative. We want the good guys in our town. They bring, they're good people and they keep our town safe. The bad guys, we don't really want around. They just cause trouble. All right? So also let's talk about a town. Back in the Old West, in order for you to have a town, you had to have people. So the situation of coming to town is good. We want people to come to our town. They come to our town, they spend money, they eat in our restaurants, everybody's happy. Okay? Leaving town, because if people leave town, that's bad. They can't spend their money in our town anymore. They leave, and then our town dries up, becomes like a ghost town. So leaving town is a bad situation. It's a negative. So these are these situations all by themselves. Now let's put them together, okay? So first off, if we have good guys coming to town, that good guys is a positive thing. Coming to town is a positive thing. So notice 2 positives make a positive. So that follows our rules. When the signs are the same, it is positive. But check out this statement. What if we have bad guys, which is negative, leaving town, which is negative? Guess what? Those 2 negatives made a positive, because isn't that what we want? We want the bad guys to leave our town. We don't want them here. We don't want them to spend it. We don't need the trouble that they cause. So there's a situation that you can remember the rules. 2 positives make a positive, 2 negatives make a positive. This is for multiplying. Now let's look at different ones. What about good guys, which is a positive thing, leaving town, which is a negative thing? Well, when we put those 2 together, it creates a negative situation. We don't want the good guys to leave our town. So a positive and a negative in that situation make a negative. What about bad guys, which is a negative thing, coming to town, which by itself is a good thing, but when you put that with the bad guys, it makes a negative thing. So bad guys coming to town is a bad thing. We don't want it. So it's just a little old West story to help you remember multiplying integers. So in a nutshell, what did we learn? If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. And anytime you multiply 0 by 0, the answer is 0. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff on there. Get it all down. And let's start doing some multiplying. So we just multiply. Usually with integers, I do it in 2 steps. I deal with the numbers and I deal with the signs. So the first thing I do is I just do 5 times 7 is 35. And 2 negatives make a positive. So it's positive 35. Done. So I go 8 times 2 is 16. And I have a negative and a positive. They're different signs, so it is negative 16. Anything times 0 is 0. So we're done with that one. Done. Okay, so let's do some algebra now. Evaluate a squared when a equals negative 3. So what we need to do is we need to substitute in for the a the negative 3. So the first thing I do is I always use parentheses before I substitute in. So I put parentheses where the letter is and I put in the negative 3. So this is negative 3 squared. So what that means is negative 3 times negative 3. 2 negatives make a positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. So that comes out to be positive 9. Now the second one, that's A. Now B is x times y times z. So 2 times negative 4 times positive 6. Okay, there's a couple of ways to do this. The first thing, again, I do the numbers. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 6 is 48. And then I go in the signs. A positive and a negative make a negative. Then the negative and the positive make a negative. Or another way is, if there's an odd number of negatives, the answer is negative because there isn't one to cancel out. If there's a even number of negatives, the answer is positive. Like two negatives make a positive. 4 negatives would make a positive because there's enough for them to cancel out with each other. So let's see what they did here. They substituted them in, put the parentheses like I suggest, multiplied it out. The second one, they substituted the values in. They multiplied the first two, and you can do that. That's fine. But we still end up with the same answer. So example number 3, most of Greenland is covered with ice that is almost 2 miles thick in some places. Wow. Scientists estimate that 3 feet of this ice melts each year. Find the change in the thickness of the ice after 10 years. So melting, I think they want us to indicate that as a negative, because that's not a good thing probably. Negative 3 times 10, so negative 30 feet. So it's going to melt off 30 feet. See right there, it decreases. So it'll decrease 30 feet in 10 years. All right, so let's do some guided practice. 9 times 2 is 18. The negative, the only one negative makes it negative 18. We're done. 2 negatives make a positive. 3 times 4 is 12. Done. 5 times 5 is 25. 1 negative makes it negative 25. And there's our 0. Anytime you multiply by 0, don't worry about any signs. The answer is just plain 0. Evaluate the expressions. So there's 2 of them there. X squared y. So I'm going to put parentheses where the letters are. And for x, we put in a negative 2. And for y, we put in a 3. So PEMDAS tells us to do the exponents first. So this is going to be negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4, times the 3. That one's going to be 12. Negative 3 times x times y squared. So I put a 3 in right there, a negative 2 in right there. Okay, this exponent, notice the exponent is only attached to the y right here. So we don't put everything squared. We have to do this part first because PEMDAS, it's parentheses, exponents. The parentheses don't really mean anything because they're just there separating the signs. So we do 3 squared first, which is 9, times negative 2 times negative 3. Okay, two negatives make a positive, so we know the answer is going to be positive. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 9 is 54. Let's see how we did. 12 and 54. Yay! What is the change in the ice in the example after 18 years? Remember, it was going down by 3 feet a year, so it'll be negative 3 times 18. 18 times 3 is 54. So it's going to go down, decrease 54 feet in 18 years. Negative 54. Okay, so just remember that I do it in 2 steps. I do the sign, and then I do the multiplying, and that's it. So that's it for 6.4. We'll see you next time.